So the question is, which of the live-action Spider-Man is most responsible for their canon event? And I think there's a clear answer. So clear, in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and rank them from least to most. Least likely is 100,000% Tom Holland Spider-Man. And if you disagree with this right now, just give me a second to cook. If anybody besides the villains is responsible for what happened to Aunt May, it's Aunt May. From the very beginning, she was the one continuously pushing Peter into helping these villains whilst repeatedly involving herself in the process. The only reason they were in Happy's apartment in the first place is because she led them here. Side note, by the way, but she's the parental figure in this relationship as well, and she's canonically the only one of the canon figures who's ever known about Peter's superhero activities. She was completely aware of what she was getting into in the first place, unlike either of the other canon figures. Also the only Peter that took liberties to stop the villain before their canon figure was killed. And he let himself get battered for like 20 minutes just to give her time to escape. Which would have actually worked had she not involved herself once again between Peter and Green Goblin's fight. Not to say this isn't what any loving mother would do, but it is the truth. Before people mention the counter argument of this is all caused by Peter messing up Doctor Strange's spell in the first place, you could throw that same argument back for either of the other two Spider-Men. Tobey Maguire's Uncle Ben was only there in the first place because he lied to him about where he was going and where he was gonna be. Andrew Garfield's Uncle Ben was only there because his Peter got angry and ran away, causing him to go look for him. At the end of the day, Tom's Peter is the only one who is actively trying to prevent bad things from happening and has a canon figure who can share in some of that responsibility. Now in second place, I gotta go Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and I think at this point it starts to get a little bit more obvious. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker was leaving out a different exit, so he would have had to actively intervene and chase the guy down. He also witnessed a non-violent robbery, so he had no idea this guy even had a gun. Even if he did, he had absolutely no combat experience except for getting beat up by Flash Thompson for his own amusement. He also didn't have his web shooters at this time, so he's even more vulnerable. He should have done something because he could have done something, but unlike Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I wouldn't consider him as directly responsible. But now let's go through why Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is 100% the most responsible for his canon event. Listen, Tobey is my GOAT, but this dude had to move out of the way, had to directly move out of the way to let the killer escape. He also saw that he had a gun and knew that this was a violent crime. Unlike Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, like I said, he had to take action to actually avoid stopping this guy. And again, unlike Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, he had combat experience, very successful combat experience, might I add, plus he had his web shooter because he had organic webbing. And from his own admission to Aunt May, his uncle was only there because he lied to him out of a bit of his own selfish greed. However, I think that's what makes this particular character arc of his so much more compelling than the other Spider-Man. When he's having this conversation with Aunt May and admitting his guilt, he seems genuinely ashamed and sickened by the person that he was in those moments. And that's what makes this everybody needs a hero speech between him and Aunt May so unbelievably important. His uncle needed a hero and he was not there. So now anytime somebody else may need a hero, he will be there. So anyway, that's my answer to this